Hey everyone, welcome to TMI Live, Too Much Information with Moondog. And we have a special guest who's be joining us later in the show. That's going to be the Dark Lord of Optics. For those of you who don't know, he's got a great channel and also I guess community, which would be a good call over on Locals. But he's a very well-respected, well-known, and very knowledgeable optical engineer. So I mean, people often ask me optical scope questions or whatever because I review a lot of scopes, but I am not a technical expert. But he is a technical expert, so I'm very glad that he'll be joining us later today. But before we get started on this live stream, I just wanted to give a shout out to our two sponsors today. And if you noticed in the beginning of the show, added a sponsor at the very end of the intro, and also one other thing you might see if you notice there on the corner. There's a new little addition to StreamYard. It displays the side chat. So yes, new title credits because I wanted to add in this new sponsor. So let's talk about them real quick. So we have our long-standing sponsor, Aura.com, and they are an online cybersecurity service that I use, and they are a bundled bunch of services that are really super useful to helping protect your identity and yourself while you're online, including a VPN service, a virtual private network, which helps encrypt and give you security if you're using public Wi-Fi, especially. Also gives you the added benefit of if you want to get content that is blocked by your region or your country, like there are some channels, there's some content like on streaming services like Netflix and on Amazon that are only available in certain, like in Europe, that you can't get into the US, or Japan and can't get in the US, some shows and whatnot. Well, you can change your VPN, the where the internet thinks you are, and will be virtually there as far as your ability to log into those services, and also give you access to regions specific content. So that's another benefit. Plus, they have all the protective services that everybody needs, like spam blockers, fraud alerts, credit monitoring, and the one I always find very useful is data broker removal service that gets our information that is being traded online by these data broker companies and formally gets them removed from their listings. All of our private information, like our name, our address, our physical address, our email addresses, things like that, it will formally request to have our information removed, expunged, deleted from those services. And that is an ongoing thing. You should need to do that regularly because these companies will buy lists from each other. So the only way to try to reduce the amount of spam and also the amount of your own personal information that's out there is to regularly go to these data broker services, find out if they have your information and remove it. And you know how tedious that could be. Well, Aura does it for you automatically. And if you have been starting to see some commercials now with Robert Downey Jr., basically saying the same thing, and I'm saying that's because he is on the board now of Aura.com. So yeah, those commercials for Aura.com, the service that he's promoting is this service. So use my link, Aura.com/Moondog, to use the service. Plus, if you use that link, you get 14 days of a free trial. So try it out and let me know how it works for you. All right. And our newest sponsor is Venice AI. And a lot of people have been using AI, and I've been covering this in a couple of different episodes. The amount of change is going to happen with AI is going to make all the changes that happened with the internet and the World Wide Web. A lot of us who are watching are old enough to remember the world before high-speed internet, before the internet, before you could find stuff online, and how just jobs and things changed. The whole world changed. Well, I believe AI is going to do just the same thing in terms of I've been experimenting using AI, some of it to generate images, thumbnails, and some of the slides, some images for slides and things that I present on this show and other content that I create. Well, and a lot of people are using it for writing. I just tested it, and I just gave a simple search parameter, write up a proposal for my channel to a sponsor, and it generated something like, whoa, that's actually a legit sounding proposal. And I can use that as a great template to customize. And yeah, AI is great, but here's the thing that most people don't realize: AI as you're using it, or most of us were using it, whether it's Grok, whether it's ChatGPT, all of that information isn't private. It is being stored, and it is being stored by these AI companies. So all the searches, all of the potentially embarrassing things that it delivers to you in terms of images that you ask it to create, or questions that you pose to it. Some of that may just be for fun, but it could be potentially embarrassing or what have you. That is all being stored and remembered by these AI companies, and they even brag about it. And part of that is they say, well, that helps us better give you a result, give you information based on their past experiences with you. But just think about that. They know everything you've asked it. They know everything that you've seen. That's a little creepy. Well, there is one company that doesn't store all that information on their servers, and that is Venice AI. It's the only one. And in fact, all of your searches and all the responses are stored, but it's stored on your browser as, I don't know, the cookies or whatever. I'm not a technical expert here, but it's stored on your browser. And just like your browser history, you can delete it. You have control of the AI information that is being served to you. So this is a big, big and significant difference. So that's the reason why I'd recommend, if you're going to use AI for anything, use Venice AI. The responses that I've gotten back are just as good as those other services. Plus, in terms of the image generation, you have a choice of a couple of different models that you can use, AI image generators. So you don't have just theirs. You have a selection of a couple of them. And if you use my link venice.ai/moondog to try them out. And you can also get 20% off the sort of pro level services. That means that you get a lot of those AIs, you get a limited number of requests that you can make per day. Well, you can pay up and get unlimited, or I don't know if there's probably still limits on the things that you can ask it to do, but you have to pay for that. So that's the pro level services. But if you use my code Moondog, you get 20% off of that. So yeah, try them out. It's amazing, and kind of still a little frightening to me what I could ask AI to do. I'm sure it has its plus sides, because somebody said, like, yeah, in about 2 or 3 years, you could just ask the AI to do your taxes for you. That would be great. But then you got the flip side. Oh, great. Now ChatGPT or Grok or somebody knows all of my finances. That's why you use Venice AI, because all that information stays with you. All right. Enough talking about the sponsors, but try them out, definitely. Now, let me just see if anybody has any responses on the side here. Michael Den says, I don't even know what you're talking. What's AI? I just Google for my searches. Yeah, you could. This is like, you could ask it to do really in-depth things, not just like look for something for you, but like write a letter for you, or write a proposal, write a report. And this will probably, I'll try to get an educator on my live stream, because this is a problem they're having in higher education as well as in high schools and middle schools. Is the kids are using AI to write their reports for you. It's like, you could type just a simple query, write a 500-word report about Gone with the Wind, and boom, it'll generate a 500-word report for you. It's crazy, but I mean, it's cool in a way, but the amount of cheating that's going on right now with students is just unimaginable. I mean, unless you look through how they write and compare it to how they previously wrote, it's getting harder and harder to tell when someone's using AI, other than just sounds too good for them to be writing it, right? Perhaps, or too advanced for their age. But anyway, let's see if we got any other. Tim Mooney says, ask Venice AI, what is AI? You know what? I will, let me bring this up. This just for fun. Let's see if I can bring Venice that AI here. I'm going to share my screen, share screen. Where is Venice AI? Chat. Okay. And it is loading. It may be interfering with because I am using I actually haven't tested this as to, there we go. In a, let's say in a 50-word paragraph, what is AI? AI, or artificial intelligence, refers to the simulation of human intelligence in machines. These machines are designed to think and learn like humans, enabling them to perform tasks that typically require human cognition, such as visual perception, speech recognition, decision making, and language translation. AI can be categorized into narrow, task specific, and general human like intelligence. And let's see, listen to response. I haven't tried this, by the way. Let's see if we can get it to generate something. I don't know, and I'm not entirely sure you'll be able to hear it, but we'll see. If it takes a little while because it's thinking about it. It's using vast amounts of servers to generate these things. So it may take a while for it to generate a voice. Anyway, we'll come back to that. I don't want to get side railed too much by this AI stuff. But let me stop screen here. So yeah, AI is amazing and scary at the same time to me. So I just wanted to, let's call out everybody who's joined us so far already. We've got a pretty jamming side chat here. We have Hillbilly, Abigail, Tim Mooney, Michael Dunn, Vadim, J Delta, Boys Warzone, and CNET, CNET Bucket. Let me know how I should pronounce your name in the side chat, your handle. But anyway, thanks for everybody for joining us. I'm sure you're very excited to see our guests here. But let's get moving on to the rest of the show here. Let's get back to stage. Yeah, use that link. Try out Venice.ai. Use Venice.ai/Moondog and try them out. Just see what what shenanigans you could get up to. All right, let's start with. I also wanted to let you know that I'm going to be giving away some of the ZKT gun wipes. These are lubricating, cleaning, protecting gun wipes that I've tested, and you'll see a little video of that. These are really amazing in terms of how easily you could clean an entire rifle with one of these. Easily clean a pistol with one of these. And that's all you need. I was a little worried when I was testing these that maybe it's fine for a couple of pieces and then it'll get too fouled or it'll leave too much crap on the metal. But no, this stuff is really good. It has the kind of very durable material like on a baby wipe, but it really clings on to fouling. I'm giving away 3 of these today. So this is your first clue to enter the contest. This is the logo of a camera company. So if you know what this company is, type in hashtag symbol and the name of the company in the side chat, and you'll be automatically entered into the drawing. So put that in there right now. And I'll give you additional clues, but I just wanted to give you a look-see onto the logo. Now, this is a kind of a specialized logo because the normal logo is their name, so I didn't want to give up too much, but this is a logo of theirs, and that is the letter O, by the way. Okay, so let's get into our new videos. Oh, here's let's see. Howdy, I don't think the correct reading of my name is proper, but I'll say all the vowels are omitted. Okay, fair enough. All right. How about this? How would you like us to say for work pronounce your name? So I'll just call you CNET Bucket. How's that? If you have a preference otherwise, please let me know in the side chat. Okay, so let's get into our new videos, and starting with this. So I wanted to share a little short video of the cleaning process. You can watch the full video on my channel, and let me just post up a link to today's show notes, and you can find additional links in those show notes for a lot of things we'll be discussing today, along with links to the videos as well. But let's just take a look at the cleaning process. Now, here we have my, I didn't put on the sound because the sound is actually music for the video, for the short, but that is my, that's my dirty bolt carrier group that I'm taking apart and just cleaning. And I wanted to try this to see if I could clean the entire thing with just the wipe and no tools, because I wanted just to simplify things. Now, what I did end up in the process, I did use a sheet of dry paper towel.
There we go. Not bad.
You can see it's left
And
a little
that
bit
was
of
just
a
one
film.
cloth. So yeah, just one of these patches and these cleaning wipes, and you're good to go.
So in that video, I cleaned the entire bolt carrier group with just that wipe and a dry, I have to say I did use a dry paper towel, but mostly just to dry my hands. It comes on wet, not super wet, but and it dries dry. So I thought, okay, it'll leave a little bit of wet on lube on my bolt carrier group. And then when I went to go wash my hands, came back, the bolt carrier group was already dry. I'm like, wow, okay. And as it turns out, and you'll see in the video, I actually ran into the marketing guy for ZKT at the range because he happened to be in town. Total coincidence. Happened to be in town when I was filming this video, and he reached out to me, and I had him meet me over at my gun range because he was there for a 3-gun match that was about an hour away from here, and in the East Bay of San Francisco. So I was able to meet him, and he gave me a bunch of these wipes to give away, which is why we're giving these away as prizes today, so you guys can try it out. And yeah, I think they're really cool. They're so super easy. Just throw one of these into your pouch, into your bag, and you have just something that you could use if you need to at the range. And it's so much more convenient than imagine, I prior to this, I would keep a bit of a little bottle of Rem oil inside of my gear bag, but then you have to put it inside of a Ziploc just to make sure things don't spill out. And I've had some issues with things leaking out and cans of things inside of my gear inside of my range bag. So much easier to use than and safer to use in terms of your stuff than a bottle of CLP or whatever. And I still use that for sure if I have a really heavy issue, but these are really handy. All right, back to the videos. Now, the other video I posted to my 2A channel was a challenge video, and Day at the Range posted up these challenge targets that he's encouraging us to download. And you can, again, go to my website and you can find a link, or you can watch the video, and in the video description you can find a link to Day at the Range's webpage where you can download your own target. But he challenged everybody to shoot their rifle from 100 yards with your choice of ammo, your type of rifle. Just fill out the information so he can categorize you. I shot in with my CZ457 in the factory class, and I used, for this particular run, I tried CCI standard just as a baseline because CCI standard shoots pretty well in my rifle. So let's take a look at the video short. So there's CCI standard. So I was using. Pretty good, right on the center.
Bullseye.
And the shots on the left are the spotter target, by the way. So I was shooting, you get 5 spotters on that, on your target from 100 yards. And I'm shooting with a Discovery Optics XED scope on top of that CZ457. Oh!
That was way off.
You gotta love CCI standard.
Definitely
it's
a flyer
great
there.
until it doesn't. You're always gonna get one flyer out of every mag, it seems. Yeah, it shot well, except for that one. It's so frustrating.
For that one, we'd have a great group.
So yeah, that was my run on it. Didn't place super highly in the factory category. Placed near the bottom of the list so far. I think there's about 15 in the factory category for this. So we'll see how it goes. I'm going to try TAC 22 next. Yeah, Hillbilly said, yeah, it's a great group, but those CCI flyers are ruthless. Yeah, it sure is. All right. And so on my Moondog Reviews channel, and this is a bit unusual, that it's usually my gear channel, and of course, this is a little bit unusual because I reviewed low carb sour gummy snacks, and this is because these actually were at SHOT Show earlier this year. There was a booth called Tactical Snacks, and they were letting everybody try out their sour gummies, and they tasted like watermelon sour gummies. They tasted pretty legit, and they are telling us these are, well, I first declined because I said I'm on a keto diet, and they said no, these are keto friendly. Like, really? And I was looking at the ingredients, and lo and behold, they're using allulose, which is actually a keto friendly sugar. Because it's a naturally derived sugar. It's found in like figs and I think some other fruits, but it's a harder to digest sugar than regular fructose or sucrose. So that's why it has a lower glycemic index. But anyway, you can watch the video, and if I don't want to bore you with biological keto details, but just so you know, they are low carb, high protein, and pretty healthy snacks, because I was looking at the ingredients list. There wasn't any of that like polysorbate, hydrogenated crap, blah, 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 that you usually find with snacks, just all these chemical sounding things that just sound weird. No, it's just a sugar, and tapioca starch. So it's all pretty standard food items in the ingredients list. And it's a veteran-owned company, by the way. These are low-carb, high-protein watermelon gummies from Tactical Snacks, made with all-natural ingredients. But are they tasty? Since they're tactical snacks, I thought I'd take them to the gun range and find out. What's it taste like?
Oh, it's watermelony.
Very, very tasty
What's it taste like?
and chewy. It tastes like watermelon.
So what do you
Got some density, so you could tell it's got protein in it.
Good, yeah.
What do you think it tastes like?
Sour. Not a lot of sugar. Good chew consistency. Yeah, not bad.
I could probably eat a bag of these easy.
So to Abigail's question, I don't have a bag on me handy, unfortunately. Otherwise, I would read the ingredients and the nutritional information for you. It didn't seem like it was anything out of the ordinary, but I don't know how much. Here, to Abigail's question, how much sodium does it have? She's watching her macro. I don't want to give you false information. You can look up. There's a link in my website to their website, and you can look up their nutritional information per serving, because I don't know what you consider to be low or high. Anyway, but it's yummy. They taste like legit sour gummies. The protein one is a little tougher, chewier. I mean, like not just like sticky chewy, but I mean like you really have to mash down. It's tougher, like the difference between a steak and beef jerky is sort of like the difference between those two gummies to me. But they're both of them are yummy. I think I prefer the regular ones, but of course the high protein ones are probably better for me. So anyway, I recommend them as snacks, and veteran-owned company, seem pretty healthy. So if you're going to need a snack out of their range or play an airsoft or whatever, by all means, try out a low carb, low drag Tactical Snacks. By the way, if you guys are interested, after we're done giving away the ZKT wipes at the end of this month, I'll talk to Tactical Snacks. Maybe they'll let me give away a bunch of these as samples. Let me know in the side chat and in the comments if you'd like to like me to give some away next month. All right. And on my travel channel, Moondog Go, I posted up some videos from my last trip to New York and my tour of the Oculus, which is the shopping center by the World Trade Center. And one of the things that was unique about the place, aside from that, just architecturally, it looks amazing, but it has a really long LCD screen that runs the length of I don't know. It seemed like 100, maybe 150 feet from one end of one of the entrances all the way in. But here's what that experience is if you're walking along the hallway. Still going. And I hadn't planned this. I just spotted somebody who was walking in the direction I was walking, and I just decided to film them as I was walking. So I had to kind of dodge folks to keep up with them. But it's literally like walking a city block length of an LCD screen. There we go. Finally, the end. That is how long it is. All right. So I'd like now to ask your help in coming up with an idea for a thumbnail for next week's video review that I'm posting up. It's going to be a review of these adjustable height scope rings from Discovery Optics. Now, I also got a question for you. Who do you think would want adjustable height scope rings? I mean, they're kind of niche as far as, I mean, maybe you need them because you just want to have a pair in case you don't have the right height. But most folks have pretty much, maybe if you're just getting into shooting, I've accumulated a bunch of different scope rings of different heights that are sitting in my, spare parts bin. Perhaps this is also a good way to just find out what height you actually need, because then you could see just how many, because you can adjust the height to, 6 different heights. So then you can immediately be able to tell precisely what kind of rings you need for your particular scope, bell, and your rail versus your barrel, whatnot. But these are fairly well built in terms of the construction. And unlike a lot of other adjustable height rings, it has 2 screws to hold in and clamp down on the sections that do split apart. And they split apart laterally, if that makes sense. I mean, they slide forward, so they don't. You have to slide them off to adjust the height because they have teeth on either side of them. Let me see. Pick says, I think okay sending them with a scope so you don't have to throw the tall ones away and you throw in the box. That's true, perhaps, because in the past, Discovery used to include scope rings, but then they stopped doing that because, well, one of it is cost savings because of inflation, but also the issue that they had where people were sending back the packages, the products, because they didn't like the high scope rings that they included, but they included the high ones just to make sure that their scope would fit no matter what you kind of top you had. Here we go. I agree. A good height tester, or if you're swapping out scopes to test and review. Yeah. Michael Dunn says it would be a great tool to see how high you need for your scopes. And yeah, you know what? We should probably ask our resident scope expert when he comes on. But let me see if I could find any. See, at pick, the golden is blasting ammo, no precision at all. Okay, fair enough. All right. I don't want to keep, I see our guest is here, so I don't want to keep him waiting too long. Let me just blaze through here. So here's the clue to win one of these wipes here. Established in 1919, this company was one of the top Japanese camera brands behind Nikon and along with Nikon and Canon. In the mid-1990s, their OM line was one of the first digital SLRs to come out. And along with Fuji, they introduced the Micro Four Thirds digital camera format. So if you know who this company is, type in hashtag their name on the side chat, and you will be automatically entered. We'll do the drawing at the end of the show, and the software will look for any correct answer as long as you put in hashtag and the correct answer of the name of this scope company on the side. It will pull you in. And let me just take a quick peek here. So far, we have 4 correct answers. So there you go. Some of you know who this camera company is. And one other plug before we get into our guest today. I will be hosting the Operation Bad Blood, which is an airsoft event in Pennsylvania later this month in New Milford, Pennsylvania, which is just north of Scranton. So around about 2.5 to 3 hours north of New York City. And it is the largest charity airsoft event on the East Coast. And I've been hosting it for, 15 years now, I think, almost. And so this year we will be having another pew tuber, gun tuber. We have Mark Thomas, who will be joining us again as one of the faction leaders for, where I believe we may be combining the Black Shirts faction and the Marxist faction, which is the tan team and the black uniform team. So each of the teams, each of the factions are designated or identified by the type of camo and color that they wear. So find out more. You can find out more at evic.com, which is the only place you can buy tickets. This will be on the last weekend of June. It'll be actually on June 28th. But it is a whole weekend of airsoft, and it is to raise money for the Juvenile Diabetes Research Fund. I'm sorry, they just changed their name to, what is it? Breakthrough T1D. Sorry. So they were originally the JDRF, the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation, but they are currently named, the new name is Breakthrough T1D because they wanted to, they're raising money for diabetes research, not just type 1 diabetes research. All right. So down the rabbit hole we go with our special guest here. Our special guest was born in the Soviet Union. He was educated at Caltech in California and also at UCLA. And he studied optical physics, or applied, I believe maybe applied physics is the more correct one, but he's an optical physicist and he has made his career in electro-optics and imaging. He's worked for camera companies, defense contractors, designed reticles and written articles about hunting and sporting optics for Guns and Ammo, Shooting Illustrated, and he runs a blog and channel called the Dark Lord of Optics. So I'd like to welcome to the stage here our special guest, Ilya, the Dark Lord of Optics. How are you there, buddy?
Oh, just spectacular, except you're triggering my OCD here.
Oh no, what's wrong?
Oh, man. Fuji had nothing to do with Micro Four Thirds. When Micro Four Thirds was introduced, I worked for Olympus at the time. I worked on the very first Micro Four Thirds image sensor. The 2 companies who launched it were Olympus and Panasonic. The very first Micro Four Thirds camera was Panasonic G1. That was a deal with the companies. And then the EP1 was the first Olympus camera.
Oh, okay. Sorry for, thank you for the correction. I don't know why I blanked on.
I am an engineer. I love correcting people. I live for that.
And I should know because right in front of me right now is a Lumix camera. So
yeah, okay, you should know. And for what it's worth, right, you're looking at me right now also using a Micro Four Thirds camera. But this is an Alice camera I'm testing.
Oh, okay. Now, but are you still involved with Olympus, but not anymore?
Oh God, no.
Okay.
I worked for 2 Japanese companies in my life. I worked for Olympus Imaging. I worked for a startup that they ended up acquiring, and then I left, and I came back to that startup when Olympus had their accounting scandal, so they sold it to JVC Kenwood, and I was the VP of business development for them under JVC Kenwood. I found over the years it's good to work with Japanese companies. Working for them is not my thing.
Is it just the sort of the hierarchy and the stuffiness and the formalities of it?
Oh God, no. How offensive can I get on your blog?
You should be fine. I'm going to have Cyclops Joe on in a couple of weeks. So.
He's watching. Hey Joe, good to see you, man. So I can be much more offensive with Joe because he's funny about it. I'm just mean. So the Japanese. Oh gosh. I know of many absolutely excellent Japanese engineers. The Japanese technical culture encourages excellent attention to detail. They're very good. They're not creative.
They suppress that.
To put it mildly. Mm-hmm. And they have so much respect for authority that They are spectacularly inefficient. Some of the most inefficient engineers I've ever worked with are Japanese.
Well, like what kind of inefficiencies are we talking about?
Okay,
here?
so imagine, let's say we're developing a new image sensor, right?
Mhm.
And let's say there is, when we first do a design, we have a checklist of like 3,000 things to check. Literally, you can have thousands. It's a horribly complicated optimizational problem. Image sensor design is very, very hard. I've worked with that for many years. It is easy for you once you get it working. It's spectacularly hard. So when you are going through different design iterations, what happens, the way normal engineers and physicists work, not all of those things on a checklist are independent of each other, right?
Mhm.
So you try a couple approaches, and after evaluating that, figure out of these 3,000, but half we don't have to check everyone, because it's clearly not going to work because something else didn't work. They're all related to each other. Yada, yada, yada. So when we're working on this, we say, okay, so we whittle it down, so you don't have to check actual 3,000 things. You write down 3,000 things to pay attention to, but eventually you whittle it down to a smaller number you can dig into. With Japanese companies, nobody other than the guy at the top can make any decisions. So what happens is that because whoever is the top who can't tell his ass from an elbow from a technical standpoint, said thou shalt check this list that has been approved, they will go and check every item on that 3,000 item checklist. Every single one. They'll spend a decade on it if they have to, and accomplish absolutely nothing. Everybody knows it. They can't skip an item on a checklist, no matter how idiotic it is.
Well,
it's done by so many things are just done by brute force, right? It's the only engineering organizations I've ever seen where you can get a bunch of really bright, educated, capable people to do things in the stupidest way possible. It's quite stunning. But the flip side of this coin, it's one of the reasons why Japanese do by far the best manufacturing in the world. Nobody else is close.
Because everything's been triple checked.
Because of this attention to detail, how much it has been checked, etc. Right? So their manufacturing approach is spectacular, but the same approach is horrible for development and design work.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Right.
Of course, the flip side is with a lot of Western companies, the guy at the top will pretend to have looked through everything and just. So
in Western companies, people, middle managers, technical managers, etc., have a lot more power to make decisions. So let's say there's a 3,000 item checklist, and I'm in charge. Let's say I was primarily testing characterization guy, some systems, stuff like that. And let's say 800 items out of it are my responsibility. If I look through it and say we only need to look through 10, we'll say great, let's look through 10. Takes less time, but we'll get you on another project.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
Right. It's more of the responsibility of the distribution of authority where it is appropriate. No culture is perfect, right? If I were trying to make a perfect company, right, I'd do R&D in Israel, engineering in Germany, manufacturing in Japan, and management from the United States.
Right? Has anybody tried that? Because that sounds great.
Yeah, yes, and failed miserably because we still have humans involved, right? And
right,
you have humans, you have human problems.
Now, talking about that, talking about the internationality of that, I'd like to take a step back. And as I mentioned in the beginning of this, is that you grew up in the Soviet Union.
Correct.
And how was that like? And what made you decide to want to emigrate and study in California?
Clearly have never lived in Soviet Union.
No.
Soviet Union was collapsing. My formative years was the collapse of Soviet Union.
And you grew up where in
Moscow?
In Moscow.
Yeah, I'm Jewish, all right. And as the Iron Curtain was coming down, Jews had a chance to escape. So my whole family came here as refugees. We turned in our papers on the way out of the Soviet Union, gleefully, got on a plane, and not without some adventures, came to the United States.
But your family chose the United States over any other country or even Israel?
Israel. So we were, when you're trying to leave the Soviet Union, it's much more important where you're running away from rather than where you're going. Because you're Jewish, you can always go to Israel. Getting into the United States was a little bit harder, but we had some distant family here that came in 1919.
Oh, okay, that is quite distant.
Yeah, which is quite distant. We didn't know them growing up. We, as Iron Curtain weakened a little bit. We reestablished some connections that were very helpful in us coming. And our first choice was United States because it was less of a language barrier. We spoke English.
Oh, okay.
My mom was an English-Russian interpreter. I could read and write English very well. I never had to take English
Oh,
as
okay.
a second language
Yeah.
classes, etc. But in parallel, we also did the papers to go to Israel. We almost went because coming into US, if you come here legally, is not easy, right? So for legal immigrants, it's a struggle. It took a decade. It's not. For the last few years, we had people waltzing back and forth across the border, and the people who hate that the most are the legal immigrants like me. For us, it was hard. Right, it was an honor and a privilege to come here, and I'm a naturalized citizen. But America was the first choice, and I have zero regrets about that.
That's great. Yeah, I totally I can identify with that. A lot of my family members, I emigrated when I was 2, almost 3 years old, so I really don't remember much of the Philippines. But I've had family members who were on the waiting list for 20 years before they were granted their green card. To come, join our family that we had here.
We had to, go with many interviews, and the way it works with refugees is you come here as a refugee from, religious political persecution, which once again, for those people who think America is racist, you should try Russia.
Or anywhere, practically, really.
Well, just about anywhere.
Yeah.
Russia is where I can speak from experience. Well, a few other places, but it's. After a year, you can apply for a green card. And then after 5 years on a green card, you can apply for citizenship. So I became a naturalized citizen in 1999.
How old were you when you emigrated?
15.
Okay. So you had, I don't know how the state schools, sort of put you into a specific track or anything like that.
They put me into 10th grade in high school, Fairfax High School in Los Angeles. I spent 2.5 years there, and then went to Caltech. I took a degree in applied physics, and then I picked up an MBA from UCLA. American high school was interesting. It was more of a adjustment to culture. Some academics, but academics was easy. I took all the APs in 10th grade: physics, calculus, chemistry, all that. American educational system is really designed to hold back smart people and make average people stupid. So,
and I'm sorry, which school did you go to?
I wish I was joking.
So, I know you're not. That's the reason I'm laughing, because I know I went to public school in Los Angeles.
So did I. I went to Fairfax High School in Los Angeles.
Fairfax.
Yeah.
Okay, I know Fairfax.
On the corner of Fairfax and Melrose. That's
yeah. I know the area well. I had my high school girlfriend at the time went to Fairfax.
Very good.
So yeah.
But the Russian 15 is much older than the American 15, right? So we infantilize our children, we perfect childhood unnecessarily, and we work very hard to make sure we don't educate them. So.
What was your favorite place to go eat in around Fairfax or Melrose?
You're fucking kidding me. You think I had money to go out and eat? We came here with $40 a person and a bag of clothing. That's it.
But you didn't go out with. I just remember in high school that there was only a few places that were open late, so I always ended up around Fairfax and Melrose.
Yeah, there were a few places out there with some of my friends who had every once in a while with something, but that was more of a special thing. By the time we all got some sort of little menial jobs. I remember there was this pita place across the street on Melrose called Eat a Pita.
Yeah.
So they had this fresh squeezed carrot juice. For some reason, I really liked carrot juice and the shawarma pita. So,
well, that's super healthy.
But again, that was more of a celebratory things, right? It took a little while before any of us could afford to really go out.
Yeah, my girlfriend at the time was working over at Johnny Rockets. I think that was, yeah.
It was a Johnny Rockets and Beverly connection on the corner of Beverly and something I don't remember anymore. It's been some years.
Well, I think that's something that we can both connect with, being Southern California. Like I think I mentioned to you in a previous conversation, I don't think I'd ever want to move back there.
I go back there often. I spent 28 years in Southern California. I've lived in LA, Woodland Hills, Santa Barbara. I got married in Santa Barbara.
So those are great parts of LA. But
West Hollywood. when you take Russian immigrants and put them in the West Hollywood where there were Russian immigrants, and then there's West Hollywood.
Yes, yeah.
For those of you guys who don't know what West Hollywood is, when we just landed, it was right around the time of the Halloween parade. Halloween parade in West Hollywood will make you feel like you're in a zoo on the wrong side of the fence.
For those of you who aren't familiar with Los Angeles, West Hollywood is the gay part of LA in terms of the gay and lesbian community. The heart of it is around there, like around Sunset Boulevard. A lot of the stores. So it would be the equivalent of the Village or the Castro in San Francisco.
If you ever want to see a 6'7" fat hairy dude with a beard wearing a G-string and high heels, that's the place.
This is where I learned about what bears were. That subculture.
Yeah.
Oh, you'd fit in right now.
I'm about that size, but there's a little bit of an issue of a personality mismatch.
Okay, I can see that.
Let's go with that.
No, so you went to Caltech, which is in Pasadena, and then for graduate school. Did you always wanted to be an engineer, or is it just something you just...
So I wanted to be a physicist. I wanted to do something with optics since I was about 13 or so. Because when I was growing up, Soviet Union was more or less collapsing. In our school where I was going to in Russia, we didn't have some of the teachers for a year or two, and my parents were not happy, and they found a guy who was a grad student at the Moscow State University. He studied physical chemistry, as I recall. Another Jewish guy, he ended up in Canada developing diamond films. But they hired him to tutor me on chemistry, mathematics, a little bit of physics, because the school was not doing anything useful. And he was a martial artist, so we got along well. I was a martial artist.
Oh, which form?
He was a karate guy at the time. I was doing kung fu, but I'm primarily Muay Thai. I practice and teach Muay Thai, and I do some Kali and Eskrima, but most I'm a Muay Thai. And a little bit of Krabi Krabong.
That's cool.
A little bit, but I'm not a good grappler. But I'm large and deeply unpleasant, so I get that. But anyhow, so when I was 13 or so, we were studying something about molecular structures, and he mentioned a thing called the de Broglie wave-particle duality, right? About the nature of light. Because light, if you look at how its behavior works, how it propagates, it behaves like a wave, and it also behaves like a particle. It does both.
Yeah.
One of the fundamentals of quantum mechanics. And I thought that idea was so strange and so non-intuitive that I was going to do something with optics.
That was something that we learned in high school physics about the duality, and then it gets into quantum physics. But you wanted to go in the more practical side rather than the theoretical side.
Look at that. When I went to Caltech, I was going to be a theoretical physicist.
Okay.
But then when you go there, two things happen. One is you start taking classes. First of all, a lot of the optics at Caltech was more on the applied physics side. That's where the coursework was. And then when I was started out as a physics major, I took one class in astronomy from a guy. What was his name? His name was Martin Schmidt, and he was a big star. He's the guy who discovered quasars, I think, particularly celestial object. So he was a big deal. And the way Caltech has a huge amount of money and very, very few students. When somebody discovers something big, Caltech shows up on the doorstep with a blank check, says, fill in your salary, come on over. So he was a super nice guy and a great lecturer. But when we were doing astronomy, I hated it. I thought it was they were making profound conclusions and assumptions out of no data. I'm firmly convinced that half of the early astronomy discoveries were done because somebody sneezed on a negative, and and found a new galaxy. A couple of times we had to go do experiments at night with the telescope. Telescope was interesting. The TAs who were doing this were always stoned. Like the lackadaisical approach to precision in astronomy completely turned me off.
Oh, I could see that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They were clearly bullshitting for a living. Now, it doesn't mean that astronomy is bullshit. Don't misunderstand me. They do amazing things. A friend of mine is a professor of astrophysics at Columbia. and his advisor got a Nobel Prize for the LIGO experiment. They do
Ah,
unbelievable things.
yeah.
LIGO was at Caltech when I was there, so I knew quite a few people who worked at it. But it's just, it was not for me. I wanted to do lasers and fiber optic communications. That not anything I actually ended up doing. I was interested in lasers and fibers.
Yeah,
That's
what I'm
what
saying.
the
Like, I'm
bulk of my
surprised you didn't
undergrad
get
was.
into LIGO.
I was an undergrad there.
Mhm.
LIGO potential was available, but I was doing something else.
Hmm.
And then my first career was in telecommunications, fiber optics. I switched into imaging and things like that a few years in after the telecommunications crash.
Now, where's this telescope over at Caltech? Is it up
Uh,
up in the mountain?
So there is one on Mount Wilson, but
Mhm.
at Caltech itself, on top of the astronomy building, Robinson building, they actually have kind of a smallish, medium-sized telescope that's been around there for a long time. They used to use it for real work. Then they built one on Mount Wilson, etc., and it's easier to do real work from higher up.
Yeah.
But so it was available for students. Caltech is very interesting in that you become an undergrad there. They give you a key that opens half the buildings there. You can go there at night, do your own thing, and all that. So
Wow.
it provides students with a remarkable amount of resources.
And of
I
course,
mean, even in terms of financial aid, remember we didn't have any money. It's an expensive private school, right? So I got some scholarships, some grants, some loans. There was 1 year where I forgot to fill out some form, something. Year starts and I'm missing $10,000 in my financial aid.
oh, that's no little amount.
I go, shit. I
Yeah.
go to the student financial aid office. They look around, say, yeah, you should have done this, you didn't. I go, shit, what do I do? They said, okay. They gave me a $10,000 0% loan and said, go do homework.
That's
Caltech's
great.
official policy, if you're smart enough to come here, we'll make sure you can come here, which is
See,
very, very good.
I don't know how much you still keep in touch, but have things changed that very much since you went to school there?
I'm not super involved, I'll be honest with you. I moved away. I've had other things to do. And I found, which was a surprise for me, I don't particularly enjoy academic environment. I think it's very toxic. So I didn't keep up as much. I got a lot out of Caltech, and I'm forever grateful that they let me go there. But you have to understand, Caltech is a shock to the system, right? So everybody who goes there is the best in whatever high school they are. When you come over there, you realize you're barely average. So it was tough, but it was it was an experience.
That's great.
Yeah.
And so from that, how did you get into, well, I mean, I know primarily you're in imaging. So how did you get into
Not anymore, actually,
shooting?
but I was. How did I get to shooting? Oh,
Yeah.
when I was 1920, my best friend,
Mhm.
we went to high school together. He's a year older than I am. He took me to a shooting range in downtown Los Angeles, right? On the other side from Skid Row, there's an indoor shooting range.
Oh,
Sixth
okay.
Street, I think, something like that.
Yeah.
That was a crazy range. Like to go there, you stop a few miles out, get all the guns out, load them up, then you drive in. Like that's.
I'm surprised he didn't take you like Glendale or Burbank.
I don't know. He went to school at USC, so probably.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
But regardless, right? That looks like Mogadishu at night. But anyhow, so we go there, and as many classical martial artists, I look down on guns. We all watch too many kung fu movies. And we rented a Beretta 92, a gun I despise to this day. Bought a bag of 50 rounds. I fired 50 shots at a piece of paper, good-sized piece of paper from 7 yards away, and not a single one even touched paper. I don't handle failure very well. So fast forward 30 years, here we are.
Now, can you? I'm assuming you can get on paper now.
Adequately well.
Okay, fair enough. And you still.
But you have to understand. A week afterwards, I went to a store and bought a Glock handgun. It was a used Glock 31.
Okay.
Eventually, I redid it in 9mm. That frame has more than 200,000 rounds through it. Or at least that's when I stopped counting.
You still shoot it?
Oh yeah, still have it.
Very good.
It's modified many times through Sundays, but.
So that's a testament, folks. Over 200,000 rounds, still the same frame. There you go. That's
correct. All the springs are different.
Oh
yeah, everything's been replaced many times over, but it's still alive.
Now, you still hate Berettas.
I don't hate Berettas. I hate that particular one. A couple of years ago, Beretta invited me to the SHOT Show event, and they have this new version. I think it's X or XI, or whatever it is.
Mhm.
It's the new frame, slightly different grip, and a frame-mounted safety.
Hmm.
Just an awesome gun. I've been meaning to buy one ever since.
Excellent. And that's where I think the first time we met was at SHOT Show like 3 years ago.
Something like
Max,
that, yeah.
yeah, Max introduced us.
Yeah.
So I'm going to hold you to that. I haven't shared that video that I shot. The reason I have Ilya on this show today is because I actually asked him a question was about 2 weeks ago about an issue I was having with an LPVO, and he schooled me on what I was seeing and what
I warned you. Ask at your own peril.
So you'll hopefully be seeing that video in a couple of weeks now, but that's in the production and the release chain. But hopefully we'll get to meet up with Ilya again at the next SHOT Show that's coming up, and I'll be walking around with him, and we'll be looking at some LPVOs. But we're getting near the top of the hour, and I'm very mindful that I appreciate that the time you have, so I don't want to keep you much longer. If there's any folks out there who, if you have a scope question or question, post it now. But I wanted to get Ilya to help me with the giveaway that we're doing today. Okay. So let me just bring up here the last clue for the contest that we have. And let me just bring this up here. All right. So the brand clue is this Japanese camera company spun off its camera brand into a new company called OM Systems in 2020. And the word that we're looking for, so put in a hashtag, this is also the legendary mountaintop home of the Greek gods. So if you don't know what this company brand is, hopefully you remembered something about the pantheon of Greek gods and Greek legends in middle school or high school. So to win one of the ZKT wipes, type in hashtag and the name of the home of the Greek gods, and we will do the drawing shortly. And if you win, be sure to email me at moondogairsoft@gmail.com today with the hashtag and the name of the home of the Greek gods in the subject line so that I can find it for. So let's also, I forgot to mention that our friends over at BCA, that is, they're off. They have a giveaway right now that's going on. I don't have anything to do with it in terms of getting anything out of it, but I entered the contest. You can enter and win a 16-inch BC-15 from Bear Creek Armory. And this is their black nitride rifle, along with a bunch of swag. I just got the email about this giveaway. I'm just sharing it with you because I thought it was a good giveaway and some good swag and good stuff that they're giving out. So you can find a link in my show notes, and I'll post my show notes again for you on the side chat. So check that out. Enter that giveaway. And I also wanted to let you know that I am giving away a Milesy rangefinder, and this has a effective range over a mile out. Ilya, have you ever heard of the brand Milesy?
Yeah, they keep on sending me private messages on Instagram, Facebook, everywhere they can, trying to get me to look at their stuff. That's all I know about them.
I never heard about them before they sent me their rangefinder to try out, and I was I thought I'd give it a fair shot, and I was impressed that I was able to actually get a bounce off of a hilltop over a mile away, because even the next best rangefinder that I have is an Athlon, which is supposed to have a mile range, but I was never able to get anything approaching that. Best I could do is like 1,500 yards, or no, sorry, 1,200 yards with that. I couldn't even get out to 1,500 yards with.
Did you have them side by side under the same conditions?
No, I wasn't testing them against each other, but I was just, when I remember the last time I was testing the Athlon, I was
So these guys, Mousy, like everybody else, they don't make any of their own stuff. It's just another brand name trading company from a few of the large plants that make these. I briefly looked at. I think it's the same ones as the Vortex Golf LRF, stuff like that, or one of them. When doing an LRF stuff, you have to be very careful. The ambient light conditions are make a big difference. Like,
Oh,
you know,
yeah, yeah.
when it's darker, they work much further out. When it's brighter, there's more background and all that sort of stuff. When I look at Mouse, I didn't see anything sufficiently interesting to care, to be
Okay.
honest. To be honest, but also you have to keep in mind, I just about stopped accepting new stuff for review because I'm swamped.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I tested this in noonday sun, cloudless sky, so like the worst conditions you could test this.
Yeah,
And
that's
yeah,
pretty good.
so it worked pretty well. So anyway, you could, for those of you who are listening, you couldn't get a chance to win this. Go to my website at moondogindustries.com/contest. Enter the contest. I'll be drawing the winner at the end of this month. All right, and next week we'll be giving away an Easy Shoot LPVO, so you can enter that contest as well. Actually, sorry, scratch that. The contest is over because it was the last month. But I will be giving it away at next week's show. So that contest is over. The current contest is for the laser rangefinder.
So I've got a question for you because I was gonna do some giveaways with Telson and maybe a couple other companies at some point.
Yeah.
So let's say you announce. How does this whole process work? So let's say you announce I'm gonna do a giveaway, right? How do you pick who to give it to? Is you have some random lottery software?
I have a random lottery. I mean, I've been looking into. I was from my advertising background, I was aware of some of the restrictions you have from a legal standpoint. You can't do a straight up sweepstakes. You can, but you have to there's some other rules hoops you have to jump through, and you have to say that there's no money involved to enter the contest, things like that.
No money involved.
Yeah. So in this case, the safest way that you can do is to coach it in terms of a contest. So make it whatever arbitrary, in my case, a very low bar for you to be a skill level. So I'm saying that the skill level that's required is you have to navigate through to YouTube, hit that subscribe button, take a screenshot, and then upload it to my page. And that
okay.
Yeah.
All right. So let's say 50 people said that. How do you pick who you give it to?
Well, this is where we're going to try it right now. I'm using a free service called Wheel of Names, and it's an ad, a display ad kind of revenue model for them. So let's try this out right now.
So now I'm very curious. Let's do it.
Yeah. So in the previous month, I created a Google form for people to upload their screenshots, and the requirement was that they had to subscribe to my travel channel, Moondog Go. So let me share this, share screen with there. All right, you can. Oh, sorry. Let me remove that so we can bring this up.
So in theory, like I have my darklordofoptics.com, right? So you can make a free account there. You can become a supporter. So I can potentially do a drawing, say, make a free account, take a snapshot, email it to this email address. Then I assign numbers, or you actually have names. I can assign numbers to everyone and do this drawing, and that's it. Yeah,
and in this case, because I asked it for everybody's name and address in the form, and it output a spreadsheet, I could just do a cut and paste of the column that had the names, and in this in Wheel of Names, you can paste in numbers or what have you, any identifiers, and it'll create a spoke on that wheel. So I'm going to ask you to just give me a countdown, and I will press the button, and we'll see who wins.
All right. 3,
Go ahead.
2, and 1.
All right. Now this is for the Pro Hear electronic earmuffs. There we go, Dave Deitering.
Dave made it by her.
Yeah. So there we go. Let me remove that. And I will share our next screen. This is the giveaway for the 3 ZKT wipes. So I'm going to stop that screen, and I'm going to share the giveaway tool for StreamYard. And can you see the Olympus
Yes.
Okay, hashtag Olympus. That's what we're looking for. We have 11 entries, so I'm going to ask you for a countdown for three draws. So let's do our first draw.
Okay, am I counting down again?
Yep.
Don't look like Vanna fucking White. Okay. 3, 2, and 1.
All right, and now I can explain this to you, but offline. But you could also set up a giveaway this way.
Yeah, but I don't use StreamYard. So.
Yeah, so yeah, it's only StreamYard specific, and the reason why I like StreamYard is they have this tool. So pick. Congratulations, you are getting a wipe. All right, we're gonna draw again. Just let me know, Ilya, when you want me to hit that button.
Yeah, okay. Let's do it.
Okay, well, we're doing it again. And the next winner for the second wipe Kanai. Very good. Congratulations. And for the final winner of the ZK2 wipe this week, tell me when.
All right, 3, 2, and 1.
All right. Now I'll be giving away wipes for the next couple of weeks this month. So every episode we're going to give away 3 wipes. Abigail, congratulations.
That's a very cool avatar. I like it.
Oh, absolutely. All right. So there we go. Let me remove that screen. And let's see here. Okay. So Ilya, thank you again for being a guest on the show. And this is actually a little sneak preview for everybody. I'm having I don't know what it is. Maybe it's Russian month here, but I'm having another friend of mine be our guest next week. He also grew up in the Soviet Union, was actually an NCO in the Soviet Army for a hot minute before the dissolution of the Soviet Union. His background is in law, and he's a legal clerk over at a biotech company in Long Island. So we're going to be chatting with my friend Sasha next week. And maybe you could tune in and ask some questions and ask about and compare notes there, Ilya.
We'll see. So before we wrap up, real quick thing. There were a couple of scope questions over there.
Okay, sure.
We didn't get to. If we don't, I'm gonna do once a year or so. I do this thing. I go over my recommendations for different types of rifle scopes by price. I'll be doing that tomorrow for precision rifle scopes. So I'll probably set it up after we're done tonight. If there are any questions specific to optics we didn't answer on my channel tomorrow, I'll be going over all that and then do a Q&A.
Absolutely. And let me see if I'm going to pull up the link to your channel because I know it's on my the show notes. But aside from that, is there anything else that's coming up on your channel that you'd like to share with the folks?
Honestly, no, because I like doing live streams because I like the interaction, and I don't like doing video editing, so I do it manually. and remember, I have a day job, so I'm busy. But other than that, no, I'm preparing for a Burris Optics Team Challenge in 2 weeks in Wyoming. So I'm just doing precision stuff.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you again, Ilya, for being on the show. I've just posted up the link to your locals.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Everybody check them out. Check out Ilya's Dark Lord of Optics on locals. If you have any questions about scopes or optics, that he is the person to ask. He's my go-to. He's my touchstone in terms of technical questions. And I appreciate you being on here. And I appreciate everybody else who joined us today. And congratulations to all the winners. So
thank you.
Well, hopefully we'll see you guys next week. And thanks for tuning in. Hey, I'd like to know what you thought of this video. Leave me a comment or chat with me on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, MeWe, Instagram, or locals. And if you want to see all of my videos, go to moondogindustries.com.